the doormat effect and what it is, because I actually do not know it yet. Yeah, because actually I do not cut anything. It's basically one video, but I'm doing it while I'm recording. And yeah, as you can see, I've also changed the whole color thing again, because I've seen in the last video that I'm just way too bright. I'm looking like, I don't know what the fuck. I'm just way too bright and you can't even see me properly sometimes, which is something that's not quite good. But I just see. I really just notice. Wait. I really just noticed that that is a little bit much room around me, which lets my voice, seem a little bit like, yeah, normally there's so much on my fucking desk that there's nothing like any echo thing, but now at the moment I'm just really recognizing it. Which is interesting, which is really interesting. I do hope that is now working. Let's do this. I'm just trying to get everything on my fucking desk that's possible. Let's see. I think it's actually already better than before. Yeah, I think I'm gonna let it like this, and I'll see in the recording if it's any shit or not. But I guess, as I'm just, hearing it and just, keeping attention to it, it sounds great. Or it sounds way better than without the things that I just put there. Actually, my room is fucking empty. Like, really fucking empty. But yeah. Hello and welcome back to the next episode of the Self-Development with Tactics podcast. And today we're actually going to go through once again I'm sorry. No. You stupid motherfucker. I hope everything is good. I really hope it is. I just have to turn everything off. Sorry that I'm just Now everything is alright. Hello and welcome back to the next episode of the Self-Development with Tactics podcast. And I'm very happy to be here again. I'm pretty pumped for the episode. And yeah, we will go ahead with the give and take summary by Adam Grant on the alanchang.com website. An amazing website. If you do need any fucking book summary, just go on this website. I think it should be linked down below, or at least somehow named, or named. I actually should have just written down, the name of the website and whatsoever. And you will it's fairly easy to actually find all the summaries and whatsoever. There's a drop-down menu, and everything is alright. But yeah, I changed the colors. The fucking towel is actually on my fucking closet. Never mind. So yeah, the window isn't there as well. Thanks. Now it's there. So yeah, we will go ahead with chapter 7 and chump change, or cump change, because it's CHUMP. I don't know how it's pronounced, but never mind. So, overcoming the doormat effect. In the workplace, some givers pave the way to early promotion, and others are treated more like doormats, and others are treated more like doormats, trod upon by co-workers. In study of consultants, givers had 1 to 2% lower salary increases, 50% lower rate of being promoted to managerial roles, and took 2 more months on average to get promoted. How do you avoid this doormat effect? This give and take summary covers the main strategies. So it seems to be like, it's about givers, because I just, read it without actually just knowing what I'm reading. And what I'm just really recognizing. Is there something else could use? Wait a second. actually, by the way, because I just had to put a lot of things there on my desk, and I'm just really recognizing that it's sounding better. And the thing is, if I would open my closet, it would also help, because it seems to actually help. You know, I've heard that, or I've just kind of learned it in the video, somehow subconsciously, or somehow not directly, like indirectly, because the guy there said, like, you know, he's actually recording in front of the closet, and he was a little bit joking about it actually. And then I thought, like, you know, there has to be a reason why he's doing this. You know, no no fucking person on earth would just, you know, film in front of his fucking closet. Like, you know, well, you know, if it's a nice closet and it's whatsoever, but it was open. So, and if you have nice clothes, okay, you know, it could be great. It could be great. You know, never say never. It could definitely be great. But yeah, I'll go on with the summary. So, sincerity screening, detecting fakers. Givers tend to see the best in everyone and operate assuming everyone is trustworthy. Thus, givers tend to be twice as susceptible susceptible to cons and identity theft. The key for givers is to distinguish between real givers and fake takers. But many fall into the trap of conflating agreeableness and giving. As a fundamental personality trait, agreeable people come across as warm and cooperative, and we tend to interpret agreeable behavior as a signal of giving tendencies. In contrast, disagreeable people tend to be tougher, colder, and more skeptical naturally. These people don't seem to have your best interest in mind. In reality, giving behavior is based on internal values that can accurately be inferred only from behavior and reputation. The disagreeable giver is often overlooked, being somewhat unpleasant in demeanor but ultimately caring deeply about people. More insidiously, wait. So the disagreeable giver is often overlooked, being somewhat unpleasant in demeanor, whatever this means. What is it? Wait a second. Oh, okay, how he is acting actually, and being somewhat unpleasant in demeanor, but ultimately caring deeply about the people. I think this is something that happens to me, to be honest, but because, yeah, you know, I actually care about the people, but people always tell me, okay, you know, you're always thinking about yourself and you're so ignorant and whatsoever. This is actually quite often that I'm hearing this, or that I'm just, you know, hearing this, that people say it to me and people address it to me, and I'm always like, why? Like, you know, I'm really caring about the people. I'm really caring. You know, I for sure often, you know, think about myself and think about the things that I'm doing, because I'm doing quite a lot, you know, but I think that's quite normal, but I'm really caring about the people. I'm really caring about the people. I'm just thinking a lot about the people around me, how they are feeling, how I'm feeling, how they're feeling because of me, and all these things. So I'm not like only thinking about myself. It's like, I don't know. I don't really know why. But yeah. More insidiously, the agreeable taker, like Ken Lay from an early chapter, tends to manipulate and exploit unwitting people. I wish Adam Grant had included research on what percentage of people tend to occupy the four quadrants of agreeable, disagreeable versus giver and taker. Givers tend to be more accurate judges of character than matchers and takers, because givers are more attuned to others' behaviors and feelings. By trusting others, givers also tend to lower other people's behavior guards and can observe genuine behavior more often than matchers or takers can. By detecting fakers, givers can screen people to decide where to focus their energy. One manager consultant offers help to every hire and observes their behavior in the first meetings. People who sincerely want to learn ask questions about the nature of their work. Takers tend to ask how to get promoted and spend time brown-nosing another consultant and resorted to writing advice guides to scale her advice. I actually don't know what I've just read. I really don't know. It's actually quite a problem, you know, I would say. that I'm often actually quite reading something, and I'm just keeping attention to how I'm reading, actually pronouncing everything like clearly and loudly enough and whatsoever, and just thinking about how I'm speaking rather than thinking about what I'm talking about, which is, to some degree it's good because then I can focus on talking and whatsoever. But on another side, it's really fucked up because I can't, say anything to what I'm reading. Sometimes it's really more often, and sometimes it's not, which is, I think, totally normal. But yeah, maybe we should also keep attention to not being so, not only reading but also thinking. Generous tit for tat, trusting most people most of the time. Screening can be a first line of defense, but how do you adapt when you're already engaged in a relationship with a taker? One useful tactic is to use matching behavior with takers. Tit for tat. In-game theory perilous. In-game theory perilous. Start out as a giver, but once your partner becomes competitive, retaliate by becoming competitive yourself. This is a good start, but it can be overly punishing. You may misinterpret a signal, or the counterparty could have made a mistake. When both parties go negative in tit for tat, it can end up in a mutually destructive deadlock. A better strategy is generous tit for tat, match the other person's behavior, but occasionally forgive a bad act. If someone is regularly competitive, then compete 2 out of 3 times, but cooperate 1 out of 3 times. So, like, 2/3 you actually just, kind of engaging with this person, and 1/3 you actually, 2/3 of it you're not engaging with the person, and 1/3 of it you will engage with the person. This allows recovery from mishaps and avoids lock into mutually destructive behavior. This strategy turns out to be the most successful in game theory simulations and biological behavior. Implementing this, wait long enough and people will surprise you. Which is, I think, often the case, isn't it? The more and the longer people you kind of know, I think the more just, it really depends on, whom we are talking about. If you're talking about your spouse and whatsoever, I don't know, I guess, there aren't so many surprises after a certain amount of years, but if it's about, being in class and just hanging around with your guys and whatsoever, I do think there will be a lot of surprises. Like, you don't know everyone and you don't know what the people are thinking, and most of the time you don't actually know what's going on in their home, what's going on with their parents, what's going on with their girlfriends and boyfriends. So yeah. Why givers don't advocate enough? Screening and generous tit for tat help givers avoid destructive relationships, but givers can still tend to give away too much in negotiations and advocating for themselves. One reason is that givers tend to show too much empathy and care about the feelings of the counterparty. Empathy can weaken self-advocacy and cause you to be a lesser advocate for yourself. In one experiment, researchers had pairs of people negotiate purchases of a TV. Half of the pairs were strangers and half were dating couples. The goal of each pair was to discover mutually advantageous outcomes, which could be discovered through bargaining tactics. Surprisingly, the dating couples performed worse. Empathy for the partner caused each side to capitulate more quickly than strangers would, preventing the finding of better joint outcomes. It kind of makes sense somehow. If I understand it correctly, it is basically about negotiating about a TV, so basically about the price of a TV, isn't it? And was it like, kind of asking questions, I guess it was like, the partners were both negotiating with each other and not like with another person, and then it kind of makes sense, you're just, thinking about the other person and you're just feeling what the other person is feeling because it's your fucking spouse, and this person or your girlfriend or boyfriend just wants this TV, and then you're gonna make it just cheaper. Is it like this? I don't fucking know. But yeah, Another reason is that givers have more trouble advocating for their own interests. This is possibly related to empathy, and that givers want to appear warm and kind to the other person and want to make counterparties happy and avoid making counterparties upset. This is exacerbated by perceived zero-sum situations. Gender plays a role in advocacy strength. In one study of MBAs, 57% of men negotiate their starting salaries compared to 7% of women, accounting for a 7.4 pay gap. In an experiment, a researcher advertised a study as paying between $3 to $10. In one case, the researcher handed over $3 and said the amount was negotiable. 59% of men asked for money compared to 17% of women. In another, the researcher handed over $3 with no message. 30% of men, but 0% of women asked for more. Well, it's quite interesting. It's really interesting. But, I'm just trying to understand why it could be, or because of what. Maybe I'll just actually make it a little bit... Is it too dark? No, I guess it's fine. I'm just really feared that I'm like way too bright for the video again, which wouldn't be that nice, which really wouldn't be. But yeah. I like the effect. I like this one. I was actually thinking about how I actually could upgrade my game and just make the videos a little bit better and more interesting. And I was like, okay, add more scenes, add more effects, make more just, surprising shit like the fucking slider. By the way, this is my Instagram account. Follow it, please. All the links are down in the description actually, and or on the podcast. If you're in a podcast, what is it called? The episode description, not really the podcast description, because in the podcast description I think there could be the same shit, but I think most of the time it's not. I guess it's not, so please, the episode you're on, click on the description, then you find all the links to all my social media profiles if you're interested in them. I daily just post, I think, by now it's 8 posts, I have done 10, but I've seen, okay, it's not working for me, I just get crazy. Therefore, I just don't do it anymore. Generally, givers earn less income, taking a pay hit of 7,000. In brackets, this is a complicated topic as givers tend to choose lower paying careers. People require pay increases to work at organizations, accepting 50% lower salaries to work for the American Cancer Society than for Camel cigarettes. There is also possibly a correlation between organizations with giving cultures and lower earnings. That is, non-profits tend to attract givers, but are also worse financially because of market forces, which totally makes sense. Most of the time, really, non-profits do not have such a lot of money, and therefore, just a lot of non-profits are willing to get donations and all these things, like. Yeah, they just will need it. They wouldn't do it if they don't need it. I guess, well, not necessarily, maybe. Not necessarily. I'm actually very fast today, and I'm speaking not a lot about what I'm thinking. Gonna change that up. So how givers can be more assertive. What does assertive mean? How can givers be more assertive? By advocating for other people. When givers advocate on behalf of a friend or mentee, they put harder and perform harder. They push harder and perform better. Givers are afraid of violating their own reciprocity preferences. By asking for too much, you risk feeling like a talker or taker. But when you advocate for others, you fully align with your self-image as a giver. Makes sense. And if I remember correctly, now, if I really remember and just have to hold my fucking microphone stand. Did you hear this? This is my it smells nice. What I want to say is that that it makes sense, first of all, that if you're really asking for a lot of shit, then people would think, yeah, you just wants my money and whatsoever. It makes sense. But it also makes sense that if you're just, asking for somebody else, that you really go for the maximum because you want to give this certain person the max you can give them. And you can do this by just asking for more. It makes sense. And I was just thinking, if I've done this and I'm somehow doing this subconsciously, like if it's about another person. Well, I remember in the very beginning of this episode or of this book summary in general, he was talking about, if I remember correctly, and if I'm not mixing up the books that I'm going through, he was actually pointing out that it is sometimes actually better to just to kind of take care about yourself. I do not really know if it is really this book or if it was 12 Rules of Life, but you should totally just take care of yourself the same way as you would take care of somebody else. And then we are here, then we are really here. And then you would actually, if you're doing this, you would actually also ask for yourself to get more, because you're trying to help somebody else in terms of actually yourself. Which then also means, in another way, if you just think about it in just another way, if you help yourself and if you're just feeling good yourself, you're also able to help others better and or more often and whatsoever. So therefore, by taking care of yourself, you're able to take care of others more or better or whatsoever. Yeah, just had to say this. It was just coming up to my mind. Had just to express it. In an experiment, male and female executives were asked to negotiate compensation for a promotion with a male counterparty. Males settled on $146,000 as a salary, while women averaged $141,000. So 146 and 141. But when the female were told to imagine that they were the employee's mentor and advocating for the employees, the rate boosted to 167,000, while males showed no difference. Furthermore, 74% of women reached an agreement compared to 46% of males. In brackets, very interesting finding requiring dissection. Why were women so much more effective than men at advocating for others? The author suggests that there are gender-specific triggers that activate a stronger effect in women than men, possibly related to relationships to groups. It could also have to do with less backlash against a woman advocating for herself, except the self-advocating woman performed about the same as a self-advocating man. For givers, it makes sense. If I'm just really able and allowed to actually go into this a little bit, I'm not quite sure if I'm willing to, because it's somehow a complicated topic. Let's talk about it like this. And I would even say, that in terms of emotional intelligence, I do really think that women are in a better place than men are. It totally comes up to who you are and whatsoever. There definitely will be some some people who will still be, some men who will still have a great amount of emotional intelligence. But I think, in general, women do have more emotional intelligence, like empathy, like asking for others, and all these things, than men have. I do think that is actually it's just by nature like this. It's just biology. And if I'm actually getting it exactly, or if I'm getting it right, he was pointing out that possibly related to relationships to groups. And for me, it's like I was just really thinking about the stone mans and really the really early mans, our really early ancestors, not like only mans, but people. And I was thinking about this. Okay, men are able to just exist on their own. The thing with women is it would have been better for them to be in a group, because by nature they aren't as strong as men are and whatsoever. So there are differences. You can't say there is no difference. whatsoever. There will be some people and some women who will still be very strong and very whatever, and there will still be some men who are just really not strong. For example, I'm really not strong. Look at my fucking wrist. It's as thin as, I don't know, like a pencil. Even though I'm working out, even though I'm doing a lot of shit, I'm genetically not strong. It's what it is, If the lower your wrist is, the lower amount of weight you can just lift, because your body isn't made for lifting a lot. And everybody is different. Some people do just have a wrist that's as thick as my fucking head, and therefore they are just more able to, just naturally. And this is what I think. There is no proof for this. It would just make sense for me, and because I was also, and I am still also somehow in the bodybuilding space, because I'm working out and whatsoever. And it's often like, people who have in general stronger bones and broader bones and just, bigger bones, they are able to have more muscle mass because their bones won't fucking break. I have a limit. I really do have a limit on how much muscle mass and how much, not in terms of weight, but actually how much muscle mass I could put on. Because I cannot put more on than my bones can just hold or can just, kind of, you know what I mean. And, I just had to... I'm sad right now. But it makes sense. I do think, if women are more likely to be in a group of more women, then it just has to be more like, okay, they have to be just more social, they have to have more empathy and whatsoever, because it wouldn't then just not work if they are in a fucking group. Does this make sense? For me, it somehow does, even though I'm not quite sure about it. But yeah. So for givers, the solution is to picture yourself as an agent advocating for other important people in your life. Your self-interest usually aligns with theirs. If you're negotiating for just yourself, you feel guilty about talking too much. But if you're negotiating on behalf of your children, your family, a group of patients or students, or a greater cause, you fight harder. This echoes a chapter in Angela Duckworth's Grit, where she argues that having a greater purpose in your goals increases grit and perseverance, which is actually also the thing that was Viktor Frankl in his book Man's Search for Meaning was talking about. The singular one thing that helped him going through those concentration camps was a purpose in life, and having a purpose and having a meaning in life. Therefore, it's also called Man's Search for Meaning. There were some other factors as well, like thinking about his woman and or his wife actually, and whatsoever. But just on a macro, it was really like purpose. It was really like quite only purpose. And I think it's very important to actually have a purpose in life and to actually know why you're doing certain things. And actually having a greater purpose, which then leads me to the point why religions actually aren't that bad. They are definitely not bad, but why they are good? Because you're basically just having a purpose. You want to go to heaven, or you want to just die and not want to get reborn again, and there are a lot of things, but it just gives you a purpose, and it just gives you a bigger goal, actually getting to heaven. I want to meet God, and whatsoever. It just gives you a purpose and a meaning and whatsoever. This type of explanation is called a relational account. It shows you concerns for the interest of others, not just yourself. Do you feel bad saying no to a client's work requests? Advocate for your team and other clients. Accepting the request would mean your team has to endure more stress, and your other clients will suffer. Does a client demand a special discount? Argue that it would only be fair to give the same discount to all other clients, which would in turn mean sacrificing the salaries of your teammates. It makes sense. It really makes sense that or it really makes a big difference. Let's take it like this. If you're just really kind of negotiating for another person, or if you're really thinking about another person, if you're just deciding something, whether you're now a CEO, whether you're now a family member, or whether you're just, whatever, it just makes sense. And I'm very not into just actually stopping the episode. Now I'm gonna go through. So furthermore, givers should avoid outright empathy for the counterparty. If you feel their feelings, you will overestimate how off-putting you are, and you will want to avoid upsetting them, which can be especially destructive when dealing with a sensitive taker. Instead, take their objective perspective and interests, understand what they really want, and find ways to grow the pie. If you're in a conflict, ask questions about what items they care about most and what their goals are. You may find that you had misjudged their preferences and then may not have understood themselves. And they may not have understood themselves, which is actually good, and which was also in some book, maybe also in Give and Take, I don't remember. And that actually, if you're talking to a person, it is really good to ask questions, not only because you understand more and the person feels great because you're asking a lot of questions and you seem to be interested in what the person is talking about, but also you help the other person to actually kind of manage and organize their thoughts in their heads. It's the same thing with people who are feeling bad. If you're just seeing something or seeing someone, and you kind of feel like, this person is just not feeling good. Maybe you will come up to this person and ask, do you have anxiety? The thing is, you seem to have anxiety. And then they have a chance to actually think about what they might be feeling. And you could help them to actually kind of understand what they are feeling by being like, okay, the seem is important. It seems to be important. You seem to just be angry. Could it be the case? Or something. I do not actually know if this was the right sentence, but you know what I mean. And there is a creative solution for you both to maximize your value. This is the central theme of famous negotiating book, Getting to Yes. Also, see scenarios as no zero sum. Just because you ask for more salary doesn't mean you're taking away from the company. See it as a way for the company to ensure your continued contributions to the team, because you will leave if another employer values you correctly. Finally, consider that showing assertiveness is impressive to most employers, who will want to see you advocate on the company's behalf. Assertiveness. Oh, yeah, it makes sense. It really makes sense, because I'm sorry for actually not showing you the text. Now you can have it. It really makes sense, because I do think that people like people who know what they want. This is actually a common thing that, women will tell you, I want a man who knows what he wants. I don't know, maybe it's actually just really attractive. By the way, because I hope you can see this, I'm sitting like this, with my hands on my knees, just, pulling it towards my body. The one thing I've learned, and the one thing that is so fucking stuck in my fucking mind, is that when you're doing this, you're stubborn. And every time when I'm talking to someone, I'm doing this move, I always just release it. Because I'm not want to be stubborn, I don't want to be like, okay, this is my thing, and this is totally right, and whatsoever. Just because I thought about it. And, I do not remember. I'm gonna end the episode there. So, actually here you can, yes. Here you can actually subscribe, and down there is another video, or there somehow. There is another video, or should be somehow there. Like in this corner somewhat. But I hope you enjoyed the episode. It was somehow a crazy episode. It was somehow like, it didn't felt that good actually. It didn't really felt that good, or it seems to be the episode isn't that good. It for me it seems to be like, the talking didn't went as well as it could have, and also different things. But I hope you liked it. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you the next time, and I wish you the best health, wealth, happiness, and success. And still remember how you're gonna be remembered.